Welcome, everyone, to Healing Wednesday, Circle of 12. I'm Lee Carroll.
And I'm Monica Morani.
Well, happy August 2nd. Personally, I can't even believe it's August already.
I know. It means we're halfway through the year.
Oh, my
More
God.
than halfway.
Actually, more than halfway.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, you have to. I'll do the months for you sometime. You can look at them together, and you can see where we are. Every month we offer this 90-minute program for free on the first week of the month. Now, our Healing Wednesday subscribers, get the same 90-minute program just like this with other guests every single Wednesday of the year, every one. So what do we do for 90 minutes? We have special guests, questions and answers, discussions, meditations, and of course, channeling from Cryon.
So the last few months, we began our programs with some affirmations. We'd like to continue doing that for this month of August, and you are invited to join us and say the affirmation, claim it as your own. You'll see the words on the screen to make it easier for you to participate, and the subject for the affirmation for this month is benevolent expectations. So let's suspend time for a moment. Relax your body, soften your breathing, focus on those nice deep breaths moving in and out of your abdomen and chest. Dear Spirit, show me what I need to know. Make it clear so that I understand. Guide me to be in the right place at the right time. Right now, in this moment, I send benevolent energy into my future. I expect good things. I am so grateful for the many blessings that I continuously receive. I share my abundance of happiness and joy with others. My life is filled with miracles.
Dear Spirit, show me what I need to know. Make it clear so that I understand. Guide me to be in the right place at the right time. Right now, in this moment, I send benevolent energy into my future. I expect good things. I am so grateful for the many blessings that I continuously receive. I share my abundance of happiness and joy with others. My life is filled with miracles.
Dear Spirit, show me what I need to know. Make it clear so that I understand. Guide me to be in the right place at the right time. Right now, in this moment, I send benevolent energy into my future. I expect good things. I am so grateful for the many blessings that I continuously receive. I share my abundance of happiness and joy with others. My life is filled with miracles.
Thank you, Monica. It's a great way to begin the evening. I think everybody would agree with that. So again, we want to let our subscribers know that we're going to be using these very same affirmations for the next 3 weeks.
What I'd like to do now is a little question and answer time. And the first question, well, this one is a little different since it is a question I asked Cryon when I was writing my third book, The Human Soul Revealed. Here is the question I asked. Dear Cryon, I understand that the best question to ask is, Dear Spirit, please tell me what I need to know, and then listen for the answers. How can we get better at listening? How can we improve the flow of communication? So I'd like to read to you the answer that Cryon gave at that time. And if you noticed, we actually began our affirmation with that phrase, show me what I need to know. And in the question we say, tell me what I need to know. So I think you will really enjoy the answer from Cryon. Here it is. Dear one, You have just asked a main question here. How can I work with the new paradigm of humanism? The old paradigm has the human being existing the best they can and working the puzzle through logic, prayer, meditation, and common sense. This would seem to be the ideal, unless you knew what was coming. The truth is that the way the new human will operate is to drop logic, pray and meditate differently, and learn to trust that elusive thing called intuition. The new human will stop the logic of thinking things through and will trust first intuitive thought and listen to the innate of the body, which will help create synchronicity. It is a far, far different attitude and one that requires far more courage. Humans are simply not used to walking into the unknown. They wish to scope out everything first and go in prepared. But the new way depends on knowing that you are cared for and trusting the unseen. This is the whole meaning behind Dear Spirit, tell me what it is I need to know. Think of it as a two-pronged statement. Number one, you are letting go of your own logic and puzzles. Number two, you are clearing your mind to solutions and direction that will be coming less clearly at first, and often in many pieces instead of all at once. The most frustrating thing for a human to work and plan with is incomplete information. Yet reality is that way. It unfolds slowly around you as a multi-dimensional puzzle, as many make their free choices and change the puzzle. Doesn't it make sense? Reality isn't a printed map. As you metaphorically race toward the river, you have no idea where the new multi-dimensional bridge will be. In the new reality, the bridge is invisible until the last moment and keeps changing its position to the river. It would be to the left or to the right, and it keeps moving as those around it change. Still, you race toward it, knowing that if you make the wrong turn, you will have a problem. Most humans want to stop and consult a 3D map to see where the bridge is. Pre-planning and attention to general preparation is a staple of good, mature thinking. You go faster. Those around you think you've gone mad and are illogical. As you round the corner, approaching the river, the bridge is still on the move, changing every minute or so as the reality around it moves. Suddenly, there is a flash of intuition that says, the bridge is to the right. You steer there and move right to it as it reveals itself to you. You cross it just in time to see it behind you moving yet again. Blessed is the human who realized what this all means. You can no longer plan ahead if you are joining the ranks of those who wish to be in the new energy and closer to the creative source. You must be in the moment. Plan what you need to and be ready to change it all if asked. Then breathe and relax through it all in the arms of the Creator. So I hope you really received some wonderful information in that answer from Cryon, and it's almost incredible that I wrote that book, Human Soul Revealed, in 2015, and even today that answer is still relevant and really demonstrates how if we can kind of suspend logic and trust in the flow of spirit, trust in the unseen, knowing that everything is taken care of, then we can use our intuition to put us in the right place at the right time. Okay, I'd like to do another question. It's from Annette. Annette is in Denmark and is asking, what does Cryon say about anger?
Wow, Annette, it's a short and profoundly relevant question for our times, it really is. Cryon speaks of anger all the time, and the reason is that it's all part of a new human's changing paradigm. If you've been able to listen to or watch Cryon's messages in these last years, or even in the last months, the emphasis has been on the shift's potential changes in basic human nature and tools that are starting to appear to help us. Is it possible that this shift might actually mark a change in human behavior, as in changing human nature? Cryon says yes. These would be changes that are both general and also very specific ones, like anger. There are two categories in anger as I see it. Number one, changes in our own anger quotient as ways to handle anger within ourselves. And number two, changes in how we handle anger directed at us from others. You know, anger is a natural emotion, and depending on how your life has been shaped by your upbringing, it's either something that rules your life or something that you have to occasionally deal with. Human behavior specialists call it a secondary behavior, since it's often following an uncomfortable or fearful action from something else. But whatever it is and however you define it, we know how it feels. And it's to the degree that anyone becomes angry, psychologists will tell you it's actually linked to survival. And it's common, totally common to humanity. So Cryon tells us that it's like a basic emotion that is now slowly evolving. And here's what it's evolving from and to. It's evolving from anger and accompanying knee-jerk reaction to observation accompanied by appropriate mature action. How about that one? Anger starts wars, creates divisions in families, on and on. It's not something that is very elegant in human behavior. Any parent knows that it's one of the first things that we see in our children because they're not in control yet. And this spills over into adult life for the same reasons if they don't find control, unfortunately. So what if the things that used to make you angry could begin to make sense, or you could reframe them instead of making you angry or fearful or anything else? What if instead of making you disappointed? Now that's kind of an odd idea, but it's true. What if you could no longer have a situation that made you mad at anyone or anything, and instead you think a compassionate action that might help you to deal with the situation? In a nutshell, to me, that's it. Example, here's one. I'm so angry that blankety blank neighbor keeps doing this action, even though I've asked him not to, and others have asked him not to, all the neighbors ask him not to. And your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure hits the ceiling, chemistry is released that gets you ready to fight, and you're very upset. And the result is you probably won't live as long. Now, you knew that, didn't you? That's been proven. Instead, what if you think that neighbor is in trouble? Probably even unbalanced. I'm going to send benevolent energy to him that might help this man right now. So, does it stop the neighbor from doing what he's doing or she is doing? No, probably not at all. But it helps you become more balanced and even creates good chemistry in your body right at that point. And it might even help dissipate the anger in others around you. Do you think of that? Who see how you're handling the situation better than they are, and they calm down. Question. Can you avoid the first instant reaction of becoming angry? Answer. If you wish to, you can. That's what we teach. Old human nature. Here it is. Get mad and stay mad. Tell others you're mad and see if they are mad too. Go out together and celebrate your anger over a beer. Then the next day, stay mad. Call your neighbors to see if they're still mad. Does that sound about right? This may all change over time, according to Cryon. So here's number 2, briefly. It's how you react to others who are angry at you. This is Cryon's favorite one because it's a life changer for many of us, for many of you. It's a full realization that when someone is yelling at you or calling your names, it's their issue. not yours. I mean, it really is their issue. They're the ones sitting there getting mad, getting red in the face, raising their voice, and, you know, they're doing it all because something's bothering them about you. So it's all aimed at you. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there minding your own business, being you. So think. Survival is to react and return the anger with defense, or even worse, poorly thought out language or actions that you really never meant. What if, instead, you look at the angry one and you learn not to feel much of anything? The reason? Hey, it's their issue. I know. They're saying mean things that may not even be true. It's tough to sit there and take it and to watch it happen. But that's the point. Let's learn to be an observer of their issue, even though they're not, even though perhaps they're sitting there trying to elicit a reaction from you. You know, that's what the whole thing is about, and it's tough to take. But then be compassionate that they're having a bad day. Do you think that's possible? It is. If you must say anything back, you can perhaps construct something that, honestly, perhaps that's kind to say to them. I know it's possible. Again, it's about reframing how you act, which now has compassion at the top of the list instead of ego. Many of our guests on Healing Wednesday delve into this in so many different ways. You can work this puzzle by learning about your subconscious programs, or perhaps you need to fully understand what's happening even within your Akash. Now, more than ever, humanity is desiring peace. It's working more to understand cultures rather than simply destroying them. What a concept. And individually, if you're here with me now, interested in any of this, interested in love, interested in changing yourself, you'll be interested in this as well.
I love that Lee mentioned how anger can change the chemistry in our body, and we can equally change the chemistry in our body when we focus back to our heart energy and think of all the things that bring us gratitude. So let's do that now. Focus in on your heart area. Think of something that brings you a moment of gratitude, something you are completely grateful for. And just keep focusing on the area of your heart, connecting that emotion of gratitude. And just these two things alone will change the chemistry in your body, releasing feel-good chemicals. As we focus on our heart and gratitude, let us now give gratitude for the continuing love that comes to us from Cryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. This month, we wish to have a theme that has been common for all of the years that I've been in front of you, loving you. It's a theme that I have called peeling the onion. Now, the onion represents something that you have to peel slowly in order to get to the middle. It's used because almost all of you know what an onion is. And then if you peel it, eventually you'll get to the core. A metaphor about many things, because almost everything, dear one, that you experience in your reality is actually something else. What do you do with a humanity that has grown up believing certain things, feeling certain things, believing they understand the way things work a certain way, or coming in with issues that then are enhanced instead of repaired? It becomes an onion that has a core of belief or truth or understanding or worthiness or any of these things at the core, but it's obfuscated by what you've been told. Do you get that? That's the onion. So you think of it as something beautiful, a treasure inside that has all these layers of things around it that are puzzles to unravel because they're things that you've been told that are not exactly the way things work. Peeling the onion then is you taking apart or reframing some of the basic things that you've been told or that you feel or that you think are the way they are, and finding something beautiful. The 4 weeks will be 4 subjects. And we start with one that is exceptionally generic. It has to do with how you believe. And it's not about how you believe spiritually. It's how you believe about anything. Because almost everything that you believe right now is slightly different than the actual thing that it is. Think of what your parents tell you. Think of what you've learned in school. Think of what your church tells you. Combination of all of those things together, they create an onion where there is a basic, beautiful truth at the center, and all around it are the things that you were told. The kinds of things I am speaking of are absolutely general things. We're going to speak specifically during the next 3 weeks of other things. All of these, by the way, all of you looking at me right now can see, because these particular channels will always be free, and they are available. So you don't have to be a subscriber to see this particular portion of the program. All of this that I teach you is always available. But let's talk about general, overall belief. What are you told? You look out into the stars as you grow up, and the first thing you're told is there isn't anyone there. You ever think about that? And the reason is because you've never seen anyone there. Against all odds and against all logic, you are given a narrative that says that only on this planet is there life. And that even though there are literally trillions of suns and planets in the areas that you can see and examine and look at in your galaxy, which is only one of billions, you're the only one that has the spark of life. Probably the most illogical thing that you've ever been told. Because the physics is the same wherever you look. And the chemistry is the same wherever you look. And the way that things place themselves and developed and evolved is the same wherever you look. And yet, you're the only one with life. But you're not. You're not at all. Everywhere you look is teeming with life. Now tell me, how could you believe that? And the answer is, it's consensus reality. It becomes what you're told. All of your belief is that way. If it's told to you enough, then it's anchored in you. To the extent that if someone said, you know there's life out there, don't you? And that it's probably been visiting this planet for a long time. You know that, don't you? And you look at them and you go, well, you're one of those, aren't you? You know, poor thing. Pat you on the head and send you away. Some of you have had that for yourselves, where you mention that to someone else and they look at you and go, no, I don't think so. Illogical, it doesn't make any sense, and yet it's the narrative of the day. You start peeling the onion. It starts with logic, and then perhaps there's things that are unexplainable. And you get to the point where you start looking at the cosmos and you go, you know, there probably is life everywhere. We haven't seen it yet. There's probably reasons why we haven't seen it yet. Number one, they're too far away. But the ones who have figured it out and can travel, they don't come here either, not that much. And there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is you're still dangerous. Did you figure that out yet? When you have evolved to a point where you won't shoot everything down you see in the sky, they'll be here. And then you'll have the biggest aha in humanity it's ever had, when you realize how your belief was so incredibly silly and wrong, and that all the time there's been life everywhere, just like here, for the same reasons that are just like here, that evolved just like here. That's just one of many things that we want to talk about. Is there a consensus reality for God, the Creator? Isn't it interesting when you look at history? How long did it take for humanity to understand monotheism? Now there is one God. Didn't start out that way. There were many. Now there is an understanding. That's an evolution of consciousness. To get to the place where humanity looks and says, there's one God. But you can't agree with what that God is, what that God is about, what that God wants, how to worship the God. That comes later, comes next. But the consensus reality is still that God is great and you are not. How about that one? The narrative is this. When you get here, it really has nothing to do with the Creator, God. You got to learn all about God. You've got to please God. And then in some cases, you got to perform for God so that when you leave here, it's going to be okay. That's a consensus reality, dear ones. It's a narrative, dear ones. And it's completely and totally wrong. You are born magnificent, a piece of that very God that you've discovered as humanity. I want to tell you all about that in these next weeks. I want to remind you of who you are and where you've come from. I want to deal with things like your worthiness. I want to talk about things that are the narrative of whether you can change your lives or your past or whether you can heal yourself. All those onions that can be peeled slowly or even quickly to reveal the magnificence of the human being. How you got here, what it means, what you can do, and then why you're here. For this magnificent shift that is occurring right now that starts to beg the question, are humans really what you think? Or are they something else? Is there a reason why you're here, why humans are here at all? What if you're part of a bigger plan? A plan of benevolence, kindness, compassion, realization, self-awareness. A change of human nature is afoot, and you are part of it, listening to this very program. I am Cryon, in love with you all. I'm in love with you because of what you have done. The sacrifices that you have made to even be here. The things that you've had to slog through in old energy and past lives simply to return to this time and be more aware. There are so many things that your narrative has never told you. There's so many beliefs that say, well, you only have one life, you better live it right, or perhaps some bad things will happen when you get to the other side of the veil. What if you lived many, many times? Does it make sense to create one magnificent soul, let you come down here one time and then punish you? What kind of narrative is that? What kind of logic of divinity is that there are so many things that you can change and learn and peel that onion. That's why I'm here. And so it is.
And following that beautiful message from Cryon, I invite you to open your eyes. If you've had your eyes closed, bring those beautiful eyes open and slowly bring your awareness back into your body. And as you bring your awareness back into your body, we're going to move into another part of the program where we have a very special guest joining us, and she's an amazing woman that has known Lee, I think probably even before I knew Lee, and the work she is doing is incredibly transformative. Her name is Jamye Price, and I want to make sure she's on the Zoom feed with us. Jamye, are you there?
I am here. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we are delighted to have you with us.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful seeing you on the Zoom instead of in person at this Cryon event.
Yep, I know. That's where I first met her. Jamye Price is author of Opening to Light Language, which you're going to hear more about light language, and the Cosmic Consciousness Ascension Deck. It's an energy healer. She is an energy healer, I would say, a channel, a teacher. She's a whole bunch of things. She's also a friend. And her work is well known to me. I have been privileged to observe her profound channeling and her healing work for many years. Now, over a decade, I know that she's been teaching the path of empowerment as humanity moves through this natural process of ascension that we're all talking about. It's an ever-increasing consciousness connection with a subtle realm.
Now, Jamye developed a profound healing modality, Crystalline Soul Healing, with her Lyran Guides. It's a powerful alchemical template of soul progression that heals and empowers, bridging the inherent wisdom of the human with the higher self. In addition, Jamye channels healing energies in the form of light language. This is a language that has transformational creation codes that further align you with your soul. She teaches both of these modalities worldwide, and I'm so excited to be able to welcome her to a Healing Wednesday. Jamye, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. This is such a wonderful dream come true to be connecting with you two like this.
I want to thank you again for being. This is really exciting for me too. It took a long time to get you here. I'm glad you're here now. You know, when people start seeing light language, hearing about light language, which really has only happened, I would say, in the last decade or two, that even that terminology has been here, and they see it. Were you ever led to this? Because it's so unusual.
It definitely is. And when I first started doing light language, I had never heard of it. I hadn't seen it. I didn't know what it was. And it came through a healing context for me, which I'm really grateful for because it was also so unusual. I don't know if I could have allowed myself to take that step because when it first started, I was already working on clients and it first started signing through my hands, and it was small at first and then it grew bigger and faster. And I was used to communicating with my guides at the time. And so they would communicate to me like normal, telling me the things that were occurring with the client or whatever they were wanting to teach me. But they would never come right out and say, this is light language. And so that opening was very gentle and smooth in the beginning with that quiet signing and then somebody on the table with their eyes closed. And they would even say cryptic things to me like, there are this many people on earth that do this. And they were talking about my hands moving around at the time. And that number would actually go up and down. And when I would ask, do what? They wouldn't answer me. So it was meant to be a journey of discovery and trust. And for me personally, courage building, because once the sound wanted to come forth, I would rather have held that back, which I tried to do for a long time. And then it would kind of burst out. And there's a whole big longer story of that happening. But at that time, there really wasn't much that you could find out about it. There wasn't a lot of people that knew about it. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. And so for me, that courage building to share it seems like it took a really long time. But the passion really outweighed the fear. And that was what really kept me going, because it's so sacred. It's so beautiful. And luckily, I had that quiet time of my own to really open up into it. And now it is, because naturally with our ascension, as we open more into these multidimensional forms of communication, whether we're transmitting something or receiving something, light language is opening up more and more because of that. And it's just so exciting to see the progression and the support systems that are now there, because especially after teaching this for over a decade, I just love watching people open up to this and not have all of that fear that I had. Now there's a pathway that many people have built that make it much more accepted for us to really communicate in this sacred way.
I feel privileged that I have been able to see many different humans do light languages. I will be honest though, I don't understand it. I really don't, but I can feel the energy of it. And so is there a certain type of light language that you want to share with us and explain what it means? And I love that you said that it's a creation code.
Yeah. Yes. And it's so natural to us. This is something that anyone can do. It's not just for certain people or, you have to be special to do it. It's natural to us. Now, you don't have to do it. It's one of many ways to be able to communicate in a more multidimensional way. But it is something that's accessible to all of us. And it's so natural to us because, Monica, even as you were saying that, like you were saying, I have to be honest, I don't understand it, but I feel it. In essence, that is the understanding, because it communicates on a full body level with all of our sensory systems. And we feel that. We tap into something deep. And then sometimes you'll get layers of translation. So that kind of delineation of it is not always available. And sometimes it's a matter of our skill to translate. But the translation is always there because there's always something happening. And it's just a matter of feeling into that. So I'm happy to share a transmission. And whenever I do light language, there's always crystalline soul healing along with it, which is silent. There's no movements to that, but you'll hear and see the light language. And so what I'll bring through is actually something that is just very broad for each of us, whatever's for our highest good. And so what I invite everyone to do is exactly what Monica was just saying, is just take a relaxing breath and see what you notice. What do you feel? What do you sense as you're hearing or seeing the light language? So let me take a nice relaxing breath along with me. Jamye sunashtairut ukwam, brahmhashanat and urukorama. Bremhono oret ansiach ukroret anklel remech urum at nini ea. Koram haknim arat ono soch antier ektieret ambo urend. Kan nineat soch bram haktieret en nel rum. Pramhor an sachairut okwam. Kam chot emdor akrayerat an sun. Mran akroret and ikrel ernensterum nim. Grad utso. Psa tua. Kani. Mno sanu arandat shukrurum premhet unum aksayat ansterum kremhet nini ierud premeh sata kwa. Good. Good. Take another relaxing breath. Interesting. Interesting. So if I could put you on the spot and ask you what you felt, even if you didn't feel anything, that's okay.
Unconditional love is what I felt. And also because I have done energy work and I'm aware of the energy anatomy, I felt subtle shifts and changes calibrating within my energy system from that transmission.
For me, I had a remembrance of the language. Now that is spooky. It wasn't about feeling, I felt stuff, but I also went, I've heard this language. I know this language. I don't know what you were saying, but it would be like a child hearing a foreign language at birth and recognizing their mother said it or something like that and not really understanding what it was later on. That's how it felt for me.
Nice. And that's what I hear often, like, oh, I know this. It's so familiar, because we know it on an unconscious level, even if we don't know it consciously. And I love how both of you brought up such interesting parts of that, because part of what I was experiencing was at first I was seeing all of these different like energy lines within the earth, like opening up and connecting and bringing time through that so that we're able to tune into multiple timelines more consciously. I could feel Lemuria. I felt India come up. I could feel Africa come up. I could feel there was an Asian country that came up. I don't know exactly where that was. So it was just all over the place and they were popping off so quickly. That Lemurian feeling felt very strong. And then I could feel this loving flow within the physical body, like lighting us up. And then towards the end, it was about anchoring that so that we are more actively bridging with the earth. And similar to what Cryon talks about with the nodes and how we are continuously tapping into that energy, and it's a reciprocal flow. So it's really cool.
Yeah. I also felt the very powerful presence of, Star Mother is what I want to say. And it's a message of when you're a newborn child, the Star Mother is saying, you are a child of the Creator. Remember this. Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the Lyrians.
Yes.
Yes. You can talk about Star Mother.
Now, and if you're thinking, what are the Lyrans? I've never even heard of it. Lyran is the spelling of them. Yeah. But tell us more.
Yeah. So I had been channeling for about 6 or 7 years, channeling into English. And right before 2012, this was actually November of 2012, my guides came to me and said, we'd like for you to channel us more directly. And they identified themselves as the Lyran Council of Time. And I did a channeling and it just felt so loving, and I totally recognized their energy. And even over the years, some of the information that they bring up, I can see how they had already been teaching me that. It was just so fascinating to have that experience. But the Lyrans are part of the beginning of this humanoid expression. So the Lyrans are our ancient forebears that gave birth to the races on Vega, Sirius, Orion, the Pleiades. All of that is connected into and more, but all of that is connected into this human experience, that the physicality that we are is part of the Lyrans are part of this physical heritage. And then of course we each bring in our unique soul signatures and our galactic heritage, but they are like our great, 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 great galactic grandparents from our mainly Pleiadian and Sirian physical DNA here. So they have an overall support with us balancing our masculine, feminine energetics so that we're using the full flow of creation. And I'm talking about the energetic of it, the direct electrical energy and the circuitous magnetic energy, so that we're using that full flow. And their work is very practical. They teach a lot about bridging our mental, emotional, and our intentions so that we're very clear about the information that we're flowing into our lives and that we're receiving in our lives. And just a very loving, supportive energy. And of course, they also love talking about time and our timelessness.
You know, when I hear the word describing Lyran Guides, immediately I sense this ancientness, but it's also a presence that is beyond time. So all of that makes, I don't even know if I'm making sense, but all of what you were saying is something that I resonate with.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because
the Crane's never talked about it, so it's fascinating.
You can tell it's multidimensional.
Yes.
So, I mean, all things are possible there, but especially time. So I would imagine, although the Lyrans are ancients, they're also presence. In other words, they're here.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And they love talking about some of the mechanics of how we experience it here. And so that we can bridge that practical understanding of our linear time, which we are fully immersed in. The sun rises and sets every day. It's part of our experience in this density. But then also bridging that into the nonlinear time so that we don't just get stuck on a cliche like time doesn't exist. And then, you know, we don't realize that we can't truly define that because we haven't built it logically from our linear experience into the nonlinear experience. And yet it's so natural for us. And so they definitely have that sense of that ancientness and that understanding of physical time, but also that timelessness. So they are completely here in the present, in that now moment.
Well, they gave you a healing modality.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
So you want to tell us about that? I think it's called the Crystalline Soul Healing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And of course they had to sneak it in on me because if I knew I was creating a modality, it probably would have freaked me out. But I am, I love paying attention to detail, and I am a little OC about that. So when I first started working on clients, they would teach me what was going on. But then I was like, oh my gosh, you know, how can I do more? And so I just started making lists of things that I was seeing occur in the sessions. And then they would spend time, they would spend time teaching me about different things like the flow of the past and the future in the present moment so that I could understand it from a linear perspective. But overall, what I was creating was a template. And that's part of what the Lyrans are very deeply involved in, is understanding the underlying mechanics of things. And so what all of that list making was about was understanding the different aspects of the Crystalline Soul Healing template. So within the modality, you are running that template like a program would run on a computer for instance, if you were like doing a virus scan on a computer, it's going through everything and it's looking for certain things. And if something is a match, then it does certain things with that. And that's how the Crystalline Soul Healing template works. It's working through your higher self. So your higher self is always the final decision maker of the 99% part of you. It's the final decision maker of what will release, what will activate, what's for right now, what is going to unfold through experience. And so the modality is activating that template on whatever someone is wanting to release or heal or move into to create. And the template runs through the higher self to help them release any blockages. It supports people physically, mentally, emotionally, and helps us align more with our higher self so that there's more overall coherence within us. And then we become more of the natural, powerful creators that we are.
How would you explain to someone the way that you can become more multidimensional? Because you're talking about the Lyrans and the time and that they are timeless, but being aware of time still. And this is what Crane has said, that even though we're in 3 dimensions, when you start moving into multi-dimensions, you're still aware of 3 dimensions. It's just your bubble gets bigger and you're aware of all the other things around the 3D reality that you're in. So how would you kind of explain getting in touch or expanding your multidimensionality?
Yes. So for me, a big part of it is listening, or another way of saying that is that quiet observing time, because that's where you start to see the things unfolding that aren't going to be so obvious, because the subtle realm, as my guides have lovingly said to me before, sometimes subtle means subtle. And so you have to pay attention. It's going to be things that are a little more quiet at first. It's going to be things that are not provable, and yet they're at first, and yet they're coming through this very physical biomechanism that we're accustomed to. And so they can be subtle at first. And so paying attention to some of the things that you're feeling, how you're feeling physically, and we have references for all of this. It's one thing that Ariane is constantly saying, this is natural to you. You already have the mechanism for this. So what are you feeling? Do you get goosebumps? Do you feel contraction in your body? Do you feel butterflies in your stomach? Do you feel an emotion like passion or knowingness or reverence? Do you have a thought like, I already know that person, and you don't know how, you like, how did that thought happen? So really paying attention to your subtle communication helps you recognize how life is subtly communicating to you over and over and over. And then starting to demystify some of the things that we think are so unusual, like being able to channel, for example. It's something that is natural to us, but as we're expanding our vibration into more of a conscious connection and interaction with the subtle realm, channeling becomes more natural, and we start to recognize we've been doing it all along. We do that when we're in the present moment. We do that when we're drawing. We do that when we're conversing, and we do that when we're singing or creating art. And then sometimes we do it in some other forms, like the verbal channeling that you do, Lee, and channeling light language. These are all part of our natural multidimensional capability. And when we demystify that, it starts to make more sense that we are part of this earth, we are part of this cosmos, and then things like our galactic heritage become just a natural part of who we are. And we get to see it sometimes on people's faces or in the recognition, whether that's more of their elemental connection or more of an angelic connection or something that feels more galactic species oriented, that it's part of us naturally. And just that listening and observing and paying attention to that subtlety, especially your own thoughts, emotions, and physical feelings, you start to see it everywhere.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was wanting to know, what are some of the more amazing kind of transformations that you have seen in the clients where you have done the crystal soul healing? What are some of the changes?
So it can definitely work on physical issues. It can help people mentally or emotionally. It helps in situations. And the really exciting thing is it's not just me. I mean, I even get to see my students have amazing transformations with their clients. But I've seen everything from someone who couldn't walk very easily, being able to walk more easily after the session. I've seen job changes. I've seen people have amazing openings with their own psychic senses after it. Some of the things that my students have seen. I remember having a student that had a client where there was a lot of physical things going on with digestion, not being able to physically move so much because it was so hard to deal with, and having a transformation with that after 2 sessions with a student that had just learned the modality. So it's so exciting to see how we are all so open now to our own transformation and being able to flow energy and hold that space for someone to be able to have life-changing events, whether that's something physical or even just recognizing the courage and empowerment that they have. Sometimes it's easy to overlook those and feel like, oh, well, I didn't have a big shift. And yet it's often, because things flow more malleably in the subtle realm, it's often those first layers of more peace, more of a calm mind, that then your own natural wisdom can flow. And that's the thing that has been so important to me throughout this is about the natural divinity that's within all of us, that we all have these capabilities. And Crystalline Soul Healing is one way that people get to recognize their wisdom and things unfold in their life. Because this whole thing with Ascension is all about empowerment. And when we get to that place, we see it everywhere, and then life just flows more easily with love.
I couldn't have wished for anything better than what you are doing, and how even you were saying a student like 2 days into it is able to do it. So it shows that there is a divine energy of a process that we just have to allow it to happen, and with the allowance comes the amazing transformation. So if you are interested in the Crystalline Soul Healing, Jamie's website, jamyeprice.com, you can see that in the chat, and if you're watching the replay, scroll below the video and you'll have a link to be able to get to Jamie's website. Is there any kind of final words that you want to share with our beautiful community?
Yes. So one thing that Ariane has always said is life is fail-safe toward love. We can't get it wrong. And all we are doing here is remembering that depth of love that's within us. And we are so, so cherished and so loved by life that as we recognize that more with ourselves, we can't help but flow that to others. So one thing I always like to remind people, because I need this reminder a lot, is love the self. Let life flow from there. You so deserve it. You are creating massive change when you do that, because that's where it all begins and that's how it flows more strongly. And then you can't help but be creative and loving with everyone around you.
Oh, so beautiful. You can't get it wrong. You are so loved, your life, you can't get it wrong. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Great.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I'm going to take that with me as I go into this next break. We're going to take a 10-minute break before we come back to the Circle of 12. And just remember, you are so loved. Whatever's happening in your life, you can't get it wrong.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Jamie, so much. I'm so pleased to see I would say, the presence and the awareness and the evolvement of light language.
Exactly. And I think it's wonderful that we have so many now that are opening up to their spiritual gifts. So I hope that everyone's getting that across now, that we all have so many unique things to offer, and that all of us, it's like I kind of feel we're all pieces of a grand jigsaw puzzle. And we all have this unique offering to give, and we're all special. And even if you're sitting there thinking, I don't have anything unique to offer, you are still a magnificent part of the whole jigsaw puzzle of the wholeness.
That's what we're finding out of there. So many people are waking up to like, oh, I can do this.
Exactly.
And books start to happen, and facilities start to occur.
And the most important thing, I think, is not necessarily that you're a teacher, but if you can just embody love itself, that is what changes the planet more than anything else.
And you have people like Marilyn Harper who are teaching people how to channel.
Yes, and there's many people now being taught how to channel.
So you're right.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to do now, move to a part of the program that's one of our favorite parts, called Miracle Moments. It's about celebrating the miracles of others, and it's about connecting and sending love and compassion in our own portal to those who are asking for a miracle, and the report of the miracles that are happening. I want you to know that the energy of compassion and prayer for others is powerful. I've experienced it. Group prayer works, and so does talking to your smart body, called the innate. I'd like to ask Monica to share a miracle moment. It's a good one, which has happened to one of our Circle of 12 members.
So this miracle moment, it was shared in the membership portal by Rupa. Rupa says, I haven't missed a single Healing Wednesday since it started and eagerly wait for it every week. I was diagnosed with endometriosis and was advised surgery by my doctor as the only solution, which I resisted. I think deep down I just hoped it would get better somehow, and was in no rush to confirm to the doctor that I would go ahead with the surgery. I was doing the weekly Healing Wednesday meditations with complete belief and faith in what Cryon was saying and teaching. I did not expect or hope for this outcome at all. My pain subsided over time until it flared up again, which was what was happening on and off for months when it all started. But the pain finally remained gone for a while. And when I went for my next scan, there were no cysts or any need for surgery. Everything inside had gone back to normal. I know, and I don't know how I know, but I know that I was healed of this thanks to the Healing Wednesday meditations. It's not even that I sat with the hope to heal myself of this. I just sat there in resonance, loving the channelings and meditations, and received this beautiful gift from Cryon and Spirit. And what a powerful miracle moment, Rupa, to share that with us. And I especially loved that you were sharing your journey with us, and that it wasn't an instant thing. You had a journey where it was flaring up and going away and coming back, but through all of it, you were willing to just step into the energy of love that Cryon is wanting us to all experience, and you allowed yourself to receive that, and just that in and of itself created this miracle. How amazing. And there's many who are asking for their own miracle moment to occur. We have in our membership portal what's called a submission for a prayer request And on that list, many are asking us in this beautiful community to send prayers of benevolence and love and energy to them as they are looking for their own solutions to things that are happening. So let's do that together, because when one or more come together, the intent of what you're sending is amplified. And so I ask you to close your eyes and simply focus again on the area of your heart energy. There is intelligence and wisdom within your heart that radiates love and compassion at the same time as it delivers intelligence and wisdom. And in this heart energy that we are focusing on, we build a field of coherence between us as we collectively focus on our heart energy. And in this coherence, this field that we create, let this intention be that all those who are asking for a miracle moment, right now, we penetrate any filters that stop them from receiving the love that is constantly being broadcast by the Creator. And so we're gently sending a soft, gentle energy of love to caress those filters of disbelief, that we soften the wall that they have created between the unconditional love of the Creator and themselves. So we're just holding this intent, this focus of a beautiful energy surrounding every person requesting a miracle moment beyond the list that's been submitted. Every person on the planet now, let's focus on this soft energy of dissolving anything that would stand between the love that the Creator has for us and the individual. And as we continue holding this vision of dissolving anything that stops us from receiving the love, let us give this an amplified push by now resting and relaxing in the arms of Spirit as we receive beautiful message and guidance from Cryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Cryon. Come a little closer. It truly is a beautiful thing to be able to talk to you, frankly, about the truths that you were never told, or the truths that might be self-evident but that you deny. So interesting is this consensus reality, this narrative that humanity has accepted almost universally. And there's so much more. This is the shift. And this is the time that we speak of these things. And it's not simply to awaken you to be a better human. It's because the shift is the time when humanity itself will change. If you have not heard of the shift before, we've spoken of it so many times. It's cosmology. It is part of the predictions of the ancients. It's here. There is indeed a time that has been predicted where humanity would either destroy itself or continue at a higher level. You passed through that time. You were firmly in the area where consciousness is starting to change. And the change of consciousness is where the entire planet at some level is going to expect more of itself, to start to clean up those things that are no longer appropriate with human to human. And it's going to take a while. But the seeds have already been planted of what you will and will not do, or will or will not want to do in the future. You've seen it. It's in your society. A day actually when you might laugh when they say we are outlawing war. Anyone who starts one, no one's going to come. That used to be a joke, but it is no longer. And you're starting to see it on the planet. This is new consciousness. With the new consciousness comes new awareness and I would say a desire to rewrite the things that you need to rewrite because you didn't get them right. More and more. It's like a scientist discovering what they didn't know before. It's like a scientist having a great awakening, and aha, oh, look at this. And that changes everything from then on. Think of that in human nature. What is it, perhaps, that you don't know that's always been there? That's the circle of 12 tonight. The things perhaps that you've learned a certain way, that you would like to peel the onion and slowly have revealed to you the way things really are. And some of these are very simple. Here's an example. All of you have come from a 3D position where you've been told the following: only believe in things you can see. Someone comes along with something that seems to be odd or weird or invisible, and you turn your back. You don't even want to see it because you've been told if you can't relate to things you can see with your own eyes, they're often then trickery, charlatanism, or whatever. And so someone would come along and question that. You say, only believe in things you can see. Well, what about gravity and magnetism? And you'll say, well, that's different. You see, I can see the results of them even though they're invisible. Therefore, I know they exist. Then you start asking, what about love? And it can go on. And the intellectual justification will eventually fall off the cliff because you will realize, wow, there are a lot of things that are invisible. Dear ones, one of the basic invisible things that you have no idea is that consciousness is energy. It is energy and can manipulate and push and pull. And that is a biggie. And yet, this is one that is denied so often because there are those who have told you from birth a certain thing, and you will not then peel that onion unless there's a reason to. Now there's a reason to. Because many of you are starting to feel the results or seeing the results of actions which are spooky. They have been spooky to you in the past. You can think certain ways and certain things happen. You start to see the healing that you've asked for in your body. That's too spooky. Others will tell you, we don't know how that works, but it must be magic. That's consensus reality. Can you get beyond that? The circle of 12 tonight will be the first expression where you go to an area and have that onion peeled for you. Fast track onion peeling, we'll call it, from the circle of 12 for these in this month. I want you to go across the bridge with me. to an area that you haven't been to before. The bridge, well, that is from the known to the unknown, or from the 3D to the multi-D, but not really. It's just a metaphor. But let's do it anyway. Cross the bridge with me, take my hand. Stroll confidently across this bridge, which used to be something that many of you were timid about. You are crossing into your own pure energy, an energy that doesn't really exist this well when you're human. You've got all those things to hobble you, like 3 dimensions and a consensus reality. When you move to your soul, come with me through that mist that is in the middle of the bridge, and have revealed to you the beauty. I'm home. Can you feel that? You've dropped into your own core, where everything is safe. This is where you belong. This is you with you. This is you, the most powerful thing you can imagine. Anything is possible here. And you can take it across the bridge and work with it as a human on the other side. The other side being 3D, where you think you are right now, sitting in the chair, watching this program. You can be in 2 places at the same time in multidimensionality. Ask a quantum physicist about that. Easy. And here you are doing it. This is as real as it gets, dear ones, if you want it to be. And on this beautiful side of the veil that you are, where your soul exists, I invite you to go to a new area. Not through a portal, not through a door, not to a theater, but a new area. Last month, we had you administered to with a green mist. This month is similar. This is not a time when you learn anything. It's a time when you're being administered to, where you simply sit and let the magnificence of all those around you work with you. I ask you for the entire month, and those of you who perhaps are only here one time, I ask you, do you allow this in your life? Because permission must be granted at some level. You give it one time, and then it can be done many times. Even while you're doing the dishes, even while you're driving. These are the kinds of things that can be infused and embedded, the beautiful, sacred things you've asked for. Like you trickle charge a battery over a long period of time to make it full and robust and ready to go. It's like that. Trickle charge the human with the beautiful things. There's an onion in front of you of belief that we'd like to have this beautiful time cut through. Envision yourself sitting in the chair. Go ahead and sit there, or lying at a table. Go ahead and lay there. In order to then be administered to, where all you have to do is say, yes, I allow it. I believe it. You might even say it's your birthright. As being a human with the soul that you have in this time of the shift, this is doable and possible. Meet the Vision Master. New one. The Vision Master is one who will help you with the vision of taking that onion and not peeling it, but cutting through it to get to the core. And that is what you will then receive. You don't have to then try to bust your way or peel your way through a subconscious belief that you were told as children, as adults, that actually is not accurate at all. One that perhaps limits you from finding truth. One of the biggest truths, the power of you. The power and the energy of your consciousness can do so many things. Everything is possible. The masters showed it to you. You thought it was their magic. You thought it was just for them? That's why they came, to show you what a human being can do before you were talked out of it. And that's the onion. Let the Vision Master come into this room with all that is with he or she. It's genderless. Love is that way. And it comes in and fills you completely and starts to trickle charge you to peel the onion. What have you been told that isn't true? It's not the fault of those who told you. They did their best. But what is it that you can cut right through so slowly you'll be open to the magnificence that you are? This is the onion we want you to cut through first before we do any of the others. Can you sit and work with me on this? I'm beside you the whole time. I'm with you because I want to see it. Because I love the reaction you have when you start to awaken. Oh, I didn't know that. Really? Wow. Self-realization, cutting through the nonsense, perhaps, that you were told. Dear ones, I am crying in love with you all. Stay and feel the truth of what I am telling you. And let that Vision Master help you to cut through the onion so you're not going to have to peel it and reveal the core, that beautiful you, where anything is possible. And so it is.